What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the DX Gamer Show and my Simcity Let's Play. I cannot believe we're already here on episode 34. That's crazy, dude! Anyways, we are here on Monday, April 22nd, 2013. One of the people that comment on my videos quite regularly is having a birthday today, and I just want to say happy birthday, bud. Hope you have a good day. And with that, you get a whole bunch of fireworks as I upgrade my city hall several times because I have not actually upgraded it at all during this city. So we had to do that a whole bunch of times there. Anyways, let's get started here. So in this episode, we're pretty much going to be upgrading to the point to where we're exporting processors and trying to unlock that 1.5 million requirement to get the consumer electronics building out so we can start producing the main thing. Then we can go ahead and look towards the trade building, which I don't think will get done this episode, but we'll need to get that done so that we can import gasoline, petrol, or oil, whatever we need for the International Airport Great Works project. And that is primarily the entire reasoning for the existence of this city of Riverview. There was a comment on my previous video that was like, hey DX, why don't you ever upgrade the parks? And I didn't even know that was possible, so maybe we'll take a look at that a little bit later down in this episode if I remember. I may forget, and we might have to do it for the next episode. I think this is one of the more interesting and cool things that's happened during my builds of my cities, and that is how this is set up here with a smelter plant. It almost looks like Castle Day smelter plant. It's pretty cool. It's almost a shame I didn't have something like this going on in a tourist type city, because you can see this would be a really cool place for a tourist type attraction. And yes, look at the sign, look at the sign. I always do that. Have to zoom in and take a look. Even though at this point I pretty much know what they look like. It's all habit at this point where I'll place a sign and zoom in and take a look at it. But we've almost got this fully upgraded, and I kinda, I was thinking when I did this, I was like, well, maybe I'll do alloys and metal, but I think I changed my mind later. And just here's kind of a funny thing that happened, and I had to show it in the video, where we're getting this kind of like odd bug here where the cars are going through the ground and they're actually going down like through there, like, so there should not be that dip there. The terrain should have automatically adjusted that. Hey, just so you can see it, it's on film. EA Maxis, go. Bug fixing, go. So at this point, things are really moving along in the positive effect. We're making a lot of money per hour, like 12,003, and then we're getting good money from our exports, and soon we'll be producing a lot more alloys. I decided that I'm not going to do metals, and I was pretty wasteful on this. Of course, you saw last episode my complete fail where I removed the metals place to place an alloy place, and I accidentally placed another metals place. Whoops. And then I kept doing like stupid things. I was like, well, and I was thinking, well, maybe I'll do the metals thing, and yeah, that didn't work out. Eventually I got smart and pretty much just wiped out all the metals places, because that's just whatever. It's better to produce more alloy. It makes you a ton more money. It costs more, obviously, to get those buildings up initially, but eventually it works out in the end. But my whole system's working smooth here. We didn't need to do the whole ore or coal extraction thing. So here I'm kind of following the advice of something that was mentioned when I did the whole IndieDX thing. And that was I placed my community college way away from my industry, and people are like, no, you put it right next to it. So I don't know if that's true, but I'm just listening to you guys. So here, can't say I never did nothing for you. So I'm putting my community college right next to my industry, and hopefully that will help my industry move up quickly so we can unlock the processor facility and then get things moving along. And here we are. Actually, I decided that I'm going to do education in the city a little bit so I can cut down, because I've noticed in other cities, if you have a moderately high or decent education system in the city, you don't have to worry so much about things like the sickness and crime, and that stuff usually gets buckled up pretty quickly, and you don't have to worry about it and spend so much more money into you know, trying to police the city. I just don't want to build a precinct. The city may or may not need a full-on hospital, depending on... I don't know if I'm going to get too pollutant with this. I may even knock down the big polluter, the power plant. So we may or may not plop down the higher-end solar array system. I may or may not do it. I'm still debating. I talked about this in an earlier episode. We'll see how that goes. I'd really like to get started on the next city, even though, you know, we still have quite a bit to do in this city. I'm kind of looking back to do that, like kickback Sleepy Town kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. I'm probably going to do that on a more... I don't know how the plots of land are in this area. Like, an area that has less space to work with. So that would be preferable, I think. Yes. That's what I would try for. I'm not sure if they're all flat or not in this area. We'll have to check that out after we're done with this. And geez, the elementary school and the community college took a nice little bite out of our hourly income. We were making about $12.3, and now we're down to about $9 something. But we're making quite a bit from exports right now. You can see we're in the plus 100,000s, and it's going up rapidly. And as you see here, we have a surplus of metal, and that is because we no longer are exporting metal. We are actually just exporting alloys, so that was wasteful. And at least that gave me that nice indicator saying, hey, you need to come over here and fix this crap, because it's broken, dude. It's broke. Well, last time I didn't focus on it, or I just didn't think about it when I opened the budget panel, but let's go ahead and open up the budget panel and take a look and see how the loans are doing. I believe we are getting the big plus 1,200 per hour because we didn't... Yeah. So it looks like we paid a whole lot of money for imports of raw materials. It looks like all of our bonds have been paid off, which is pretty nice, and that's pretty much why we're getting that huge surplus. So profit loss is at 10,001. That's pretty good. And yeah, we're still importing a lot of the raw resources, and very shortly the sales of the alloys should definitely fix that. So here we are looking at the baseball diamonds, one of the buildings I haven't actually built yet, and it's kind of cool. You can see the guy there doing some practicing or doing some pitching or whatever. I don't know if they have like full games. It was cool looking at the soccer field in the other episode where everyone's actually kicking the ball around. That's pretty cool. I really like to see that. It's, like I said, I'm reminiscent of the earlier SimCities where, you know, you just see a bunch of dots moving around and stuff, so that's funny. And here we go. Our industry is teching up really quickly here, and as soon as we get a couple of buildings, high-tech buildings that is, we'll get our processor factory unlocked. We'll just cut forward here to where that's already happened, because you can see that those buildings are already going to accomplish that goal for us. And so let's go ahead and place down our first processor factory here in Riverview, and this is going to take a minute because, again, we're not making a ton of money, and I think each one of these processor factories, yep, they cost 50,000 a piece. That's going to burn my money quickly, so there's going to be a few cuts to where I'm actually building these things. I'm probably going to go ahead and set it for a second one, and hopefully by the end here we will be getting our electronics HQ to make that counter so that we can unlock the consumer electronics building. And we are going to pre-plan here. Now that we've got our processor factory down, we actually need to start importing plastics so we can start actually producing the processors. So we're going to do a couple of plastic lots on this one and a couple of processor lots on this one so that we can get the whole system functional and moving along. And as I'm placing these, this is kind of interesting. If you notice, I have the unlock for the petrol, and I probably have the unlock for the oil, so I can just import those things direct, and we're already set there. So for the purposes of the Great Works project, we're good to go. So essentially, we just need to make a ton of freaking money so that we can be stable while we're building that thing, because it was crazy when I did that really accelerated episode. You know, I brought the city to its knees as far as its economy to get that launch center up and running, and we're going to have to do the exact same thing with this city, so it's going to have a nice solid groundwork foundation. We've already got 38,000 of the 60,000 people we're probably going to need to have everything up and running, which is good. If we can't quite hit that population, that'll be a perfect excuse to head on over to a second plot of land and start that sleepy town, because I really want to do it. I do. So let's just keep moving as fast as we can on this one so we can get to that. So I've had a couple of interesting suggestions for how I might do the Sleepy Town, and I had a couple of ideas. One was to, look at Google Maps in certain areas and do kind of like an interesting road structure with, like curved and, different roads, like in different connections. But I was almost kind of thinking of doing something like a tree, like where I'll have like the main branch of the tree like come in from the main highway, and I'll have just these offshoots like a tree in different directions. I don't know, but I have a couple ideas I like to throw around. I'm even considering kind of doing something very similar to my home city. We have like a really cool park area. It's like a really nice, large, interesting looking park, and the road structure is interesting. And there is a lot of like the way the neighborhoods are interconnected and stuff with the curved roads and stuff. It's kind of interesting. So I might try to emulate that. I'm not sure. I'll definitely give it some thought before we move on to the next one. So, it's not really going to be a whole lot longer in this city. Just a couple more episodes, you guys. Just bear with it, and we'll be done with this one. This one's moving along. We're already building the processor factories. It won't be long before we make that $1.5 million. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to have to do the stopgap measure to allow for that to happen. So once I get done basically plopping down all the upgrades for this second processor factory, we'll get down the electronics HQ. That will give us a good indicator as far as where we are and if we actually do need to do the stopgap measure. One way or the other, we'll get the $1.5 million per day. That's a pretty easy thing to do, especially with the exports of processors being 100,000 per 1,000. And that number seems to keep on changing. If I recall from the last city, it was like 110. I don't remember, but it definitely seems like the number's moving around. So there may or may not be something in place that governs the SimCity nation import-export kind of thing. I don't know. Well, it's time to go ahead and plop down the electronics HQ and see what is what. Now, this is during the same day, so we might need that second day to get that $1.5 million. So let's click on the building. Let's see, we're at what? About 800,000 it looked like. So that's pretty much going to be it for this first Monday episode. I'm not actually sure if I'm going to be able to get a second episode out for today because I got started pretty late. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching the DX Gamer Show on my SimCity Let's Play. Take care.